Some days I feel better. I can face the reality of what I've done and accept that the consequences, the end of my marriage, the disruption of my kids' lives, are mine to own. On those days, I can look around my small room in the house I share with housemates and feel thankful my ex-husband gave me money for the deposit, even though he didn't have to. I can remind myself that I'm taking the steps to rebuild. I can even find moments of self-satisfaction where I pat myself on the back for the work I'm putting in. But today is not one of those days. Today it hit me all over again. My husband, well, my ex-husband now, needed to let his pain out. He needed to remind me of the hurt I caused, the damage I've done, and the life I shattered. And he has every right to do that. He carries a pain that I put there, and he deserves the space to voice it. But today, hearing his words tore through me in a way I wasn't prepared for. It wasn't just what he said, though. It was seeing the look in his eyes, the same eyes that once looked at me with so much love. Now they only reflect hurt and anger. And when I think about our kids, my heart breaks even more. They didn't ask for any of this. They didn't ask for their family to be ripped apart. My choices forced them into a life they didn't deserve, and no matter how much I try to be there for them now, I know I can never undo what's been done. I've tried to own this. I've tried to step back and let him grieve in his own way. I've tried to be the best mother I can be in this broken situation. But some days, like today, it feels impossible. The guilt and shame are so overwhelming that I can barely breathe. I can still remember the first moment I realized I'd crossed the line. It wasn't the day everything came out. It was long before that. I told myself so many lies to justify what I was doing, to ignore the sinking feeling in my gut. I told myself I wasn't hurting anyone, that I was just trying to feel seen and wanted in a way I hadn't in years. But I knew deep down what I was doing. I just didn't want to face it. When the truth came out, the look on his face shattered me. The betrayal, the disbelief, the anger. But what hurt the most was the pain. He looked like I'd taken something vital from him, and I had. The guilt is something I carry every single day. Now I'm here in this little shared house. It's not much, but it's close enough to the home we built together, where he and the kids still live. We've worked out a schedule so I can see them every day. I make their lunches, drive them to activities, stay with them till their father gets home. I'm grateful for that, even if it's not the life I wanted for them or for me. I know I've caused this upheaval. I know they didn't ask for any of this. Most days I tell myself I'm doing the best I can, trying to rebuild. I'm in therapy. I'm working on myself, trying to understand not just why I did what I did, but also how I can grow from it. I don't want to be the person who made these choices anymore. I want to be someone my kids can look up to, even if I'll never be able to repair the damage I've done to their family. But today, I can't keep it together. Today, he reminded me of the pain I caused. And he should. He's grieving the life we had, the future we were supposed to share. Whatever he needs to say, I'll listen, because I owe him that. But it's hard to hold on to hope for myself when I feel so consumed by the weight of what I've done. I can't find that thread of self-compassion today. I can't convince myself that I'll be okay. Today, I feel like I'll never deserve to be okay. And that's okay too, isn't it? Maybe some days, it's enough just to admit that I'm not okay. Tomorrow's a new day and maybe I'll find my footing again. But for today, I'm sitting with the pain and hoping it's part of the process of becoming better. For myself, for my kids, and for the person I want to be. Thank you for giving me a space to let this out. I needed it. Story 2, feeling raw and struggling with support. Hi, y'all. I'm about a week out from D-Day of my BF, 26, finding out I, 25 female, cheated both physically and emotionally. Our relationship, 4 years, had been very broken for a while, with him being completely emotionally shut off and neglectful for a long time, while I begged him to be emotionally available and connect with me, sometimes to the point of being toxic in my attempts. He then gaslighted me for about a year that he was emotionally neglecting me, to the point where I stopped believing myself that it was happening. I was on a study abroad and it felt really good to have someone who did care about me and show interest, not just sexual, but in me, and at a really low mental health state. Some who cared and showed me emotional support when my boyfriend had not done that in a long time. He found proof and confronted me. which I then came clean about and have been going back and forth for a few days via email, now text phone calls since I am still abroad. He is coming tomorrow to see me because of our previously planned trip, and I'll be coming home for real in about 10 days. My biggest issue right now is that I am holding myself accountable, taking steps to change and fill all his needs, but because of my coping skills, cheating, that I used to cope with feeling emotionally neglected, my hurt and anger is not being addressed at all, and I am not receiving any love or support. So really the same thing that caused me to pull away and then cheat is being doubled down on. He says it's just for now while he processes, but it is really tough and raw for me. Edited to add, the affair lasted from meeting them, sure emotional cheating, sure and then physical, from end of October to last week, so 3-ish months. I am not speaking with AP, he has been blocked on every platform. He is friends with some of my flatmates, but I made it clear to them that I don't want to see him again for the next few weeks that I'm in the country, and to please make that clear to him if he asks them to let him in. He seems committed to reconciliation now, but I am worried if he will stay that way, as this will require some pretty massive self-reflection on his part to deal with his part in our problems, which he has brought up and agreed contributed to the walls that got built between us. I do think this has shown me a lot about reflecting and owning up to my own mistakes, even if it doesn't change the eventual outcome. I know that cheating was not a solution and was not an answer to the problems we were having. It was my shitty coping skill to deal with all of the factors going on. It goes without saying that I know that cheating was an extreme violation of trust and was not the proper response to coping with my feelings, and I am not blaming him for causing my cheating. Just stating that the situation of emotional neglect within our relationship caused me to feel distanced. Edit 2. I had been going to IC before, but due to insurance and being abroad, I had to stop while I was here. I think the feeling is just a lot of anger on my part at myself, that I felt so neglected and gaslighted for so long before, and because now of this, I will just only continue to not have those needs filled. Because I do have an okay support system otherwise, I just had zero support or emotional engagement from him. For about a year now, I felt like I was dating a zombie, which he admits to and acknowledges gaslighting me about. And now I obviously just continue to be feeling that way because now I've hurt him very deeply through my actions. So it's not that I'm wanting support necessarily from him about this. It's just, I feel like he's still a zombie and will be for a long time. And I'm angry at myself for causing that to only continue. My main concern that I was looking for support here for was about dealing with feeling that we had tons of issues beforehand, on both sides, but specifically that I begged him for over a year to communicate with me more, to not lash out to me, to be more emotionally intimate with me, and not gaslight me about the emotional neglect I was experiencing. I am aware and staying accountable for the fact that my actions were not caused by or a deserving action in response to those, but it is a factor in our healing because I feel that it needs to be addressed in order for us to reconcile, which we both want. And he acknowledges and agrees that he did all of these things. I never stated that this caused me to cheat, but more that it caused me to pull away and caused me to feel distanced. Then I made choices which I am aware were wrong, and I am working through and staying accountable for. Really what I'm looking for, so if you have resources for that, I would appreciate it, is how to balance healing when both parties admit and acknowledge they contributed to a very broken relationship beforehand. That involved emotional neglect. While your boyfriend is processing the betrayal and his emotions, it's not surprising that he might not have the capacity to give you the emotional support you're looking for right now. That doesn't make it easier, but it might help to remind yourself that this is part of the fallout from everything that's happened. Healing, both individually and as a couple, if you choose to stay together, will take time, and it may mean focusing on self-soothing and finding emotional support outside the relationship for now. Trusted friends, family, or a therapist. In the meantime, it might help to acknowledge your feelings without judgment. You can recognize your hurt and frustration without assigning blame. Journaling, mindfulness exercises, or therapy could be really helpful tools to process what you're feeling. You're going through a lot, and you deserve the space to work through it too. Lastly, I'd suggest patience with him, with yourself, and with the process. Trust isn't rebuilt overnight, And healing from this kind of emotional breach on both sides will require time, consistent effort, and eventually mutual understanding. You're showing self-awareness and a willingness to change, which are crucial steps. Keep taking things one day at a time.